Greetings everyone and welcome to Timberborn, a new first taste for the channel that I am positive quite a few of the dapplings are going to be ecstatic to see. Now, Timberborn is a city builder / colony sim that just came out into early access today as it happens on the 15th of September and is developed and published by Mechanistry. This game has been on my radar for a good couple of months now. I was actually fortunate enough to try out the demo a couple of months back. Lady Sheelab also did a bit of content on her channel covering Timberborn. Is actually how I learned about it. And the moment I saw that you could modify terrain and that this was effectively a dystopian colony sim, despite how beautiful and rustic and charming the music is, this is a world in which humankind didn't make it, as it happens. Whether through ignorance or mischief, the human race just messed it up. And we've left beavers, an unlikely heir to the empire building and industry that we leave behind. But nevertheless, here we are. We've got anthropomorphic beavers who like to do a little bit of research and build houses, and there's a lot of verticality to the way that you'll build your colonies, and again, a lot of terrain manipulation. That's a core mechanic, specifically terrain manipulation around adjusting or controlling the flow of water. Now, as always, with any game like this, it is so much easier to show than to describe. So we're going to just go ahead and jump into a game. But as with most of my first days, if by the end of the video you decide that you enjoyed what you saw and you'd like to see more, do let me know down in the comments, or with a like, or with both if you're feeling particularly spicy. Now, there are two factions. You've got the folktales, who are a bit more agrarian. Easygoing but hardworking, folktales are expert farmers. They respect nature, and it rewards them with plentiful bounties. Or you've got the Iron Teeth, defectors of the traditional timber ways. They mastered iron and science to build advanced machinery. It sounds like they're going down the dark path that may have led humans to their ruin. And nevertheless, you really couldn't have a more stark divide between an Aavak and a Dark Aavak playthrough. But to get through Iron Teeth, you do need to have at least crossed a couple of milestones playing with the more gentle folk tales. You can sort of look at these as the Uru and the Skeksis if you really want. But we're going to be going with folk tales, although in the demo, I believe I actually managed to unlock both of them. It doesn't seem that any kind of progress has been carried over. Now, you've got a couple of different map types that you can play with, and I can only imagine that these will require very different approaches to playing the game, but we're just going to go with the recommended for the first taste. You've got a difficulty sense of easy, where droughts are quite few and far between. Beavers are much more happy to consume less food and water. Normal, probably the intended game balance. And then, of course, hard, where, well, everything gets a little bit harder. Now, for the sake of the Let's Play, we're going to be going with normal. And with that, we're just going to jump straight in. Okay, here we go with our tiny little population of beavers. And I just realized, I am the sun. Oh my lord, look at the shadow is moving based on my movements. I am clearly some sort of sun deity that the beavers worship. This is fantastic news. But let's go ahead and pause the game here, because there's a couple of things I really want to draw attention to, and these are really big core features in the game. First and foremost, you'll notice that if we have a proper look at the landscape, it's kind of, well, very dystopian, very ruined. We've got literal ruins from human civilizations that came along before, and we've got the river, which kind of features very prominently because the only arable and lush land is around the banks of the river, kind of like real life, only not quite as stark of a difference between the land that's green and the land that very much is not green. The dried and kind of ruined land and dead trees, etc., etc. Now, before you start wondering, yes, you can absolutely adjust the flow of river. And the water does kind of follow a model of water physics. I'm not sure exactly how deep it is, but it does follow downstream. It will try and pool into pits, so on and so forth. We've got the conspicuous barriers here that we can remove to allow water to move around a little bit more. But you are encouraged later on, more or less required, to modify the terrain block by block, digging pits or literally changing the route of rivers to make more land available for you to use. You can irrigate land in a more intentioned way, perhaps with pumping water or just building water towers, so on and so forth. But for droughts, there's quite a lot to be said about just digging a large pit that will fill with water, because only the water flow will change during a drought. So any free-flowing water will just flow off the map. But water that is gathered in a pit and can't easily access flowing off the map, that'll just stay there. So you can have these little oases even during drought time. Now, the immediate resources that are going to matter to us, though, are trees and berries, and of course, are beavers. They are the stars of the show. Now then, what every new settlement needs are logs. Build lumberjack flags and mark some trees in its range for cutting. All buildings used by beavers must be connected to a district centre with a path, so connect the two as well. This is our district centre here, and you can actually name the district if you want. The border here is kind of the range that our beavers will walk, but that's largely because there isn't a path accessing it. They'll walk a certain distance away from a path, or like a sort. You can think of it how much effort they will go to get to and from something they're interested in. A path reduces the effort to walk a distance, so it'll extend that distance quite a lot. But over time, you know, even with the longest paths, I think it'll eventually reach a point where they're like, nah, that's too far away. I don't really care. All right, so we need to get some lumberjack flags down, and we've got a nice area of trees down here and there. We could probably hit both of them with just one lumberjack flag, but we're going to go ahead and set them down a little bit closer so that it's a bit easier for our lumberjacks to get out there and actually do some lumberjacking. Now, we're going to need to hook these up with paths as well, and at this point I'm going to allow our beavers to move around so that the ones that can actually reach a certain area can just go over there and deal with that. There we go. Perfect. Now, as I mentioned, the beavers are quite content to walk off the path, but their willingness to travel large distances without convenient footpaths is somewhat limited. So, unlike some games where in the Caesar kind of family, where your workers will literally only walk on paths, you do have a little bit more forgiveness here. Right, we've got the paths down, got the lumberjack flags, and now all that remains is for us to mark the trees. So I'm going to say, go ahead and cut down everything down here, and a little bit besides as well, because the trees will propagate of their own accord, and to a certain degree you want to allow for that, but at the same time we do need buildable area. I'm going to say, allow these trees over here to just spread out as they want to. Leave a little spot, but this side we definitely want to grab that ourselves. Now, we need to keep our beavers alive. Well, I mean, duh. Build a water pump on a riverbank to secure a steady supply of water. You should also place a gatherer flag to gather berries from the nearby bushes. Okay, well, we'll get the gatherer flag first and foremost for food. Let's pop this down. We can actually have that terminate. Well, you know what? There's quite a lot of berries over here. And this is a nice area that we'd be able to have this work in. So let's pop this gatherer flag a little bit closer, maybe about here. Let's turn that up like that. This way, well, actually, that is probably a bit of a silly direction to have it going in. I'll just delete that one. I was going to have the road going up there and around, but there's no reason for us to plan that far ahead just yet. Let's pop this just down but there. That'll still allow us to gain access to everything we want. Now let's hook that up with a path. There we go. Done and done. Now, as for the water pump, this one is going to satisfy thirst. That's what's shown there with the little green up arrow. Maximum depth of 2. So it's only going to be able to pump water from a maximum depth of 2. If the water gets any lower than that, then the pump will stop functioning. And on the topic of what it satisfies, if we have a look at the beavers, almost everything in this game can be named. However, with the beavers, you're going to end up with so many. It would be like trying to name every individual ship in a Stellaris run. Naming the classes, that makes a bit more sense, but naming the ships, you've got to have a lot of dedication to the roleplay in that series if you want to name every single ship that you build. But nevertheless, each beaver has a slew of different things that they need to satisfy. Now, you'll notice that some of them have stars and some of them don't. The ones that don't are necessary for life. If they don't get enough food, they don't get enough things to drink, or they don't get enough sleep, they will die. Everything else just makes them happier. Now, making them happy is important, as satisfying a number of the kind of happiness flags is how you access the other faction, the Iron Teeth. Also, it just makes them more willing to have children, which is definitely something you want. We want our colony to grow, not necessarily aggressively, but we do want it to be growing. Now, where are we going to place this water pump? Let's pop it down. Yeah, sure, we'll pop it down by here. It's got a nice little access there. So let's pop the path all the way along. There we go. I really like the graphics in this. There's something... It's kind of hard to describe. It's hard to put a finger on it. But there is something very comfortable, almost satisfying, about laying down the paths and how clean the graphics are. How clean the UI is. I get the same sort of feeling when playing Banished. I'm certain I'm not doing a very good job, or certainly I'm not being particularly eloquent in describing the sensation. But I think the best word that I can come up with, it's comfortable to play this game. I really, really enjoy looking at it. It's such a fun little game. And this is it before we even get to the verticality. A lot of buildings can be built on other buildings, on other buildings, on other buildings. You can build massive, sprawling, towered cities with walkways that the beavers are just busily running around. It is so incredibly fun. Kind of has a bit of a factory town vibe in regards to the verticality that I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy. Now, of course, right now we're just waiting on things being built so we can speed up time if we want to, and nighttime has arrived. The beavers are soon going to be turning in for a bit of a snooze. They will be grabbing food where they can, but none of them can yet drink, and that is definitely something we need to do. Right now, they're kind of in their downtime. They only work for 16 hours out of the day. The rest is split between sleep and socializing. And it is important for them to socialize. I'm not actually sure if beavers in the wild are a particularly social species outside of their family units, or whether they just have incredibly large family units, at which point socializing becomes a bit of a moot point. You know, your clan is your family sort of thing. But the beavers here are very, very social animals. While all of the buildings you placed have some storage, they will fill up quickly. Build a log pile to store logs, and a small water tank to store water, and a small warehouse to store some berries and other resources. Very well, let's get to that straight away. So we want a log pile. Where would we want to put the log pile? Let's pop that... Sure, let's pop it all the way up here. It does mean that you're going to have a long walk to get there, but I think having it close to this tree area, because we're going to be harvesting the trees here a lot longer than we're going to be harvesting the trees there. So let's get the log pile there. It does mean that you're going to have a bit of a long walk over here, but there's only so much we can do about that one. Right, the small warehouse, let's get this one going, and by the same logic, we'll place it nearer to the berry bushes. There we are. Now, this is a solid building, and that's important to notice. Other buildings can be built on top of this one. That is super cool. And then you can see that it's got a nice flat surface there. I love the fact that this is basically 4 enormous storage barrels, maybe 6. With some flat walls. I love the visuals here. It's kind of Hobbit-like in an odd way, which is probably quite fitting for beavers, if I'm perfectly honest. Right, and we want a water tank. Now, the water tank is a bit of a chunkier building. We could have perhaps 1 or 2 or many, and we're probably going to want quite a few of these. But if we actually have a look over here, this can only store 15. Our small water tank can store twice that, so this is going to increase our water storage abilities quite considerably there. Right, and once again, we're going to speed things up. We've already got our log pile, which is very good to see. Any storage area, you can adjust what is desired, whether you're going to empty it. I mean, with the log storage, it's specifically for a single resource, so there's not much that we can actually do here, but over here, we can see that there are many different things that we might want to store, and we can individually set what we desire as the storage amount. Now, I don't believe that having it above the desired amount will mean that they'll try to aggressively shift it out of there. For that, you really do need to tell them, look, empty the storage. But it will mean, like, for example, if we had 40 berries in here, but we desired 20, they wouldn't look to store more berries there for the time being. If they were anywhere else to store them, then they would give that priority. Right, we're almost done with this this task. We just need one more log, and there we go. All built and done. The beavers should now survive for a while. You can start thinking about building farms, producing power, and generating science points. Good luck. And that is it. That's the end of the tutorial. We are now on our own. I do like games that don't drag the tutorial out too long. And honestly, with this sort of game, there isn't too much that you need hand-holding with. But now there are lots of things that we can do. One thing we absolutely want to get on the go is science. And I'll show you how that will be used. There isn't some sort of research screen, but rather any item that has a lock next to it will tell you how much science you need to unlock it. For example, we might want a grist mill. That would require 180 science. We generate science in the inventor's workshop. There's all sorts of other things, temples, carousels, so on and so forth. With wood, we might want to get a lumber mill with power. We already have some options, but there are windmills that would generate horsepower. Right now, a water wheel, which would run, obviously, along the water's edge, would generate 180 power, or we can have a power wheel. Notice it's not called a hamster wheel, because that wouldn't be accurate. It would be a beaver wheel. But I'm glad they call it just a power wheel. This produces 50 horsepower and requires a hamster to be working it at all times, whereas this just runs off power from the water. But you'll notice axles, or rather power shafts. You can set up a really complex setup to be driving all of your industry that requires mechanical power, and I really, really dig that. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to get down an inventor's area, and we also want to get some homes, because none of our beavers currently have a place to call their own, and that's not particularly nice. No. Let's go ahead and pop this here. We'll build a little path up to it. We do want to get someone working that right away. We also do want to get housing. Now, one thing I will caution you about with regards to housing is once beavers have their basic needs met, they waste no time in making more beavers. And that can actually come as a bit of a surprise, and can also kind of scupper your plans in a way if you're not careful, because suddenly your population is way, way too big than the means you have to sustain said population. So I would caution about that one, but don't move too fast. But we do want to get all 11 beavers into some sort of housing right now if we can. Let's make a nice little path. That's a shame. I was hoping that they would mix up. Okay, well, given that they don't, I'm going to adjust my plans there a wee bit. Let's get rid of those and those as well. There we go. And we'll just adjust my initial plans. It would have been nice if we could have had some sort of big plaza around the housing area, but oh well, we'll live with this, I'm sure. There we go. Get those in there. I like that you can mirror them so we can have the doors in the same place. That actually looks really, really quite nice. Now, I've given my beavers quite a lot of work to do, but there's still going to be yet more work for them to do. Right now, well, I honestly feel that we need a lot more in the way of food, as well as a bit more water storage. When a drought hits, it's going to hit hard, so it would be a benefit to us to get some decent water storage going over here. So let's get those down as well. Later on, it would be great to unlock the larger water storage, because with these, we're only going to be able to store 90. But I do believe that the next tank, which will take 120 science, will allow us to store 300. It'll store the equivalent of 10 water barrels, whilst only taking up the room of 3 of them. So that's definitely something we want to get to quickly. Also, the irrigation tower, because not only will this allow us to actually green more land away from the river, but during a drought, it'll be able to keep land green, which will be very, very important to us. Now, with that, we can't rely on this little berry farm for over long, so let's also look at setting up some food. Now, first and foremost, if we want to get any potatoes used, there are a couple of different crops that we have access to. Right now, it's potatoes, wheat, and carrots. Potatoes by themselves can't be eaten. They can't be eaten raw, obviously. Same with wheat. Carrots can be, and they will satisfy hunger and nutrition. But if we want to grill the potatoes, then we'll also satisfy nutrition too, and we'll just have an extra source of food. 1 potato and 0.1 wood will give you 4 grilled potatoes. But right now, probably the easiest thing for us to do is to just get some carrots on the go. So how about we get on with that? We'll place down a little farm right there, and then place down some carrots over here. Sure, let's go out to this. There we go. 6 by 5, I think that should be fine. I will be happy with that. Now, with our current amount of beavers, this is already asking quite a lot of our workforce. We've got 1 beaver there. A hauler will take the water to the other location. So 1 beaver there, 1 beaver there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe 2 beavers. Yes, 2 beavers can work at the farmhouse. So we're only 1 shy. That leaves 1 builder / hauler. Of course, we've got some room for some additional growth. We've got 3 children that have yet to grow up, so that will be happening soon. Oh, actually, one of them just grew up there. Good timing. But once we've got these houses as well, then this is going to help us out quite a lot. This will give us room for 1 extra beaver, so we are going to need to expand that a little bit faster. But we've currently got 3 beavers homed out of the entire population. Hopefully we can get the rest of that done. Now, I have given them quite a lot of jobs to do. You can prioritize jobs if you really want to. So let's get all of the beavers at least into some sort of housing first. Then I'm going to want to get the remaining water supply stored, and I'll allow that one to be built last. I know there is something to be said about getting the food supply properly secured earlier, but for now I think we've got enough room. We've got 37 berries in there. In total, we've got 102 food available to us, because we did start with a few as well. Right now, we've got some workers in here. We could expand this, actually. Establish a district with its own population, resources, and isolated path network. Employs builders. Right. So I can increase the amount of builders that we have available. Okay, that's not too bad. Additionally, look, we're going to name the districts. Like I said, the districts I'm going to consider like the ship classes, using our Stellaris analogy from earlier. And let's see, who is next on the name list? That would be Tally Fireheart. There we go, Tally. Catricles has smiled upon you. Welcome to, well, I mean, you're not, you are immortalized in our colony as the first district. Well done to you, indeed. But there we are. We've now got most of our beavers in homes, and with the last little bit there, we only need a few more logs, and we are done. We need 4 more. Okay, that won't take them too long, hopefully, though. This one, have we got many more trees to cut? 1 more, and then we've got a couple of youngsters that will take a little bit of time to get to, but we will eventually get to them. For now, I could possibly shut down this particular lumberjack area, since we don't really need someone working there whilst there's nothing to cut. Though, that being said, this lumberjack will actually walk over here to do a little bit of lumbering as well. So it's not really wasted space. But there we go. We now have room enough for 1 extra beaver. So hopefully we'll see another beaver born relatively soon. I'll wait until we actually hit the cap before I deal with that. Now, the beavers do age, and they will die of old age. So you don't want to neglect setting that up. You do definitely want to pay attention to your population and always make room for expansion. But after a certain point, just the kind of the natural equalization of newborn beavers versus older beavers, the elder beavers dying of old age, will kind of balance the population, and you won't need to be as concerned with, have I got enough houses? Is my population growing fast enough that we won't eventually just go into a death spiral? But do be aware of that. I don't know if the beavers have like a fertile age ranges or not. That is definitely something to be aware of, but we'll see how that goes. I'm going to leave it on the fast speed for the time being, though, while we wait for this farmhouse to be built. We've got quite a few logs that are needed for that one, so I shall bring it back when we have got the farmhouse ready, and you can see the farmers getting to work. Okay, there we go. Not only is our farm up and running, but some of the young trees have finally started to sprout now. So it won't be long before we can decommission this particular lumber flag. Now, one thing to be aware of is, in addition to the paths and the areas you designate for lumbering, each flag does have an operational range. So, for example, the lumberjack over here can't access these trees because they completely fall outside of their range. Using the paths would increase that a little bit, but not massively. Right, now with the farm up and running, we do have a couple of beavers, and they're currently completely idle because they've managed to sow all of the carrots. So with that being said, how about we add in some potatoes as well? We can get a little area of potatoes over here. Now, once that's set up, they will get out there. However, I'm going to tell them to prioritize carrots where possible, and also to prioritize harvesting where possible. So they, instead of just kind of spreading their effort completely equally, they will tend to worry about the carrots, which we can eat raw, above the potatoes, and they will focus on harvesting the entire crop when it's ready before they'll start worrying about sowing anything. So that'll actually be quite useful. And as you can see, I've already gone ahead and started to expand out our living quarters as well. I feel that it's going to be important to have plenty of spare space over here. It did occur to me that this might operate a little bit in the sense of an entire family unit will kind of own a house. So, for example, if one of the beavers in one of the other houses had wouldn't have a child because there's no free home for a new family, because this one is already claimed by a single family. So I thought it might be prudent just to have two completely spare houses available. Right, okay, so with all of that done, and with our beavers not having a lot to do in the day, you can see how many of their desires are satisfied in here. Comfort, for example. This is increasing their life expectancy and their walking speed. Let's have a look at social life, which would increase their fertility significantly. Each one of these has something that it will help with. Nutrition, for example, will increase their life expectancy. Strength from nutrition too. Knowledge will increase their work speed. Quite a lot of the lower ones tend to increase that, though, or at level 3 will increase their life expectancy by an additional 40%. So you can have some pretty old beavers later on. But let's go ahead and take care of some of this. Let's get a campfire going. A nice social bonfire in there to keep their spirits nice and high. Right, now we've got a somewhat decent amount of water storage. It's probably enough to carry us through the sort of droughts that we'll see on this level of difficulty, though later on it might get a little bit nastier. Now we need quite a few more logs over here. At this point, I'm starting to think that we might want access to some of the other areas, so let's go ahead and build out a little path around here, for example. We can bring that up and along to this ramp, and hopefully that will allow our beavers to get up top there. And with that done, let's go ahead and place down another area for accessing all of the wood here. That should be perfectly fine, and we'll designate these trees to be chopped as well. Everything up here should be gone. There we go. Once this area has been completely cleared, we will remove the designation for lumbering down here, and also remove the lumber flag. We might actually move 2 of these a little bit further up. Later on, you can plant trees, so you can become quite sustainable in that regard, but it does require a bit of research. And on the topic of research, maybe we'll want to add a little bit more. That is a completely fair suggestion. We've only got 1 right now. Sure, let's have a think about that. Maybe we could even set up some sort of science district somewhere. Perhaps we could even have 2 of them over here. Certainly we can afford a second one there, if nothing else. I'm going to leave that spare so that I can have some more houses go up there on top there. And also, I like having a lot of buildings that are solid next to each other, because it creates an entire platform that I can build from, which will actually be increasingly useful for us. But there we are. We've now got a campfire. We can allow 5 people to visit it at night, and some people are already visiting it. This will slowly increase their happiness as a general. That is the sound of them snoring, by the way, even though they're not meant to be. Ah, but there we go. Loads of beavers getting together to have a nice chat about the day's happenings. Lovely. Perfect, in fact. Now, we should see that, as a consequence, these will start increasing. There we are. We've got 10 out of 11 people there. It'll only consider it a full... like, we've got 4 right now. But generally, it'll only consider it unlocked if you've filled it out, I believe. At least once. I'm not sure what happens when it drops below that, because obviously we've got a bit of hunger going on right now that we do need to get to. Hopefully, these carrots will be ready relatively soon. We can also start expanding out a little bit more food over here, for example. So let's try and do that. Sure, we can build this there. Let's get that on the go as a very high priority because we desperately need the food. There we are. Let's get all of this done. There we go. And clonk. Right, building lacks workers. Let's pause this there. We no longer need you down here, so let's pause that one and allow this one to be active. There we go. Hopefully we can start bringing in some food now from there. We will see how that goes. Have you got a path over there? Yes, you do. It's going to take you a little bit of time to walk over there, but hopefully between that and the carrots that we've got down here, we may have gotten the farm up a little bit too late. We might end up seeing a few deaths due to hunger in a moment. But as the berries are brought in, more of the beavers are getting up there and getting some food. So we're staving it off a little bit, but we'll have to see. There's an awful lot of hungry beavers here. Thankfully, the fact that we've got various other comforts may actually allow them to go a little bit longer. But I can see a drought coming in. A drought incoming in 2 days from now. That's a bit of a concern, to be perfectly honest, but we'll hopefully be able to take care of that. Come on, beavers, get up there, get some food. We are slowly managing it. Oh, damn it. We did lose one of the beavers to hunger. That is quite a shame. I noticed the problem. Oh, just as a carrot harvest is coming in, that is particularly bitter there. I mean, it's good that we've now got food for them, but if only we'd been a tiny bit faster. That is a little bit of a shame. But your beavers are happier than ever. You've reached a new well-being high score. Really? Did they not like that one person? I'd like to believe that the beavers aren't like that frankly. But nutrition is now actually starting to increase again, so that will be quite helpful for us. Hunger is being satisfied. We've got another 3 stars to unlock to gain access to the Iron Teeth. Now, this amount of water will hopefully carry us through. We'll have to see. Oh, there we go. We've gotten up to 6 already. So as our population is dropping, it's getting easier to manage that. Okay, right, well, we've got 153 science. Let's have a look at what we can unlock with that. I need 200 to unlock the irrigation tower, and I would very much like that so that we can keep our food supply going during the drought that's upcoming. I'm not sure how long the drought is going to last on this difficulty level. Probably not over long. Nevertheless, things will start dying once the drought is here. So it's, in a way, good timing that we did actually manage to get that entire harvest done. It looks like we're going to have the entire harvest through before we have to worry too much about it. There we are, just topping that up a little bit more. But it's a little bit of a concern, that one. Now, as for us down here, we're getting 3 every... I'm not actually even sure how many seconds it takes for us to get that. Productivity is only 96%, though. Percentage of the time spent on production as opposed to downtime, such as carrying materials. Well, that shouldn't really be too much of a concern for science buildings. But, as we can see over here, we've actually increased our population beyond the starting pop that we had. Only by 1, but we do have 2 children beavers around and about now. Let's have a look in here. We've got 53 food. Most of that is berries still. So we just want to get up the next 20 points on science so I can get an irrigation tower. I'm not actually sure we're going to be able to get there in time, sadly. I could already open this up, but I think we're going to hold out for getting the irrigation tower just so that we can avoid this problem in the future. Now, the berry bushes, these ones are just coming in, and there we go. All of that Wonderful, wonderful water gone. All the way down to this lake, actually. And this lake is managing to keep itself going. Okay, duly noted. Duly noted. That will sustain itself. I guess the water, there was sufficiently large amounts of water here. But it is actually dropping. The water level, as you can see, due to the drought. So it's just there was a large enough layer for that to take quite some time. And now the water level is going to slowly decrease in here as well over time. So the water physics are actually quite an integral part of the design. Right, okay, we've got enough to unlock the irrigation tower. Let's go ahead and do that. And with this, drought, dam and blast. We need planks. Okay. I should have actually been paying proper attention to that, but all right. We need planks, which means we need power to get those planks. All right. Well, for the time being then, let's have a look at what we can do. We can get a lumber mill down. This will require 50 horsepower, and we can generate that without water in the sense of a power wheel. Let's get an industrial area built up here, shall we? Let's get a little bit of something. Well, I would like it somewhere down here, actually, simply because later on we're going to want to tap into the water, the power from the river. So maybe if we do something like this, we'll place a power wheel right here. That's going to produce enough power for a single lumber mill. So with that, I should be able to just hook this up, and this will then feed straight into it. And it's only enough to run this. So this is kind of an emergency system. Later on, I'll shut that down. But this will be enough to get this up and running for the time being. We've got plenty of logs, 136 in supply, which is actually quite nice. I'm going to unpause this. Now, we'll probably lack workers for that, which is fine. Our gatherer will be able to gather berries from over there. The berry bushes themselves will die in about 9 days, but the drought is only going to last for 2.1. The trees will also die in a certain amount of days. Dead trees can still be harvested though, but they won't propagate new saplings, so that's something to be aware of there. In terms of this berry gatherer though, we don't need that one there. There are no berries around here that you can gather, so I'll free up that worker there, and we should see. Are we going to be able to get this up and running? No, we're not. That's a bit of a shame. Okay, well, perhaps I will shut down. Well, for the time being, I'm going to shut you down just so we can get a worker down here to get that open. We're going to need another 2 workers to start turning some of these logs into planks, though, which is kind of annoying. But until we've got a larger population, that's just going to be the way of things for us. There we go. Let's get the rest of these trees out of the way. Again, once these are all gone, then we can safely stop worrying about this being there. I don't want to waste the resources whilst we've got them there. That seems like the old ways that may have doomed the earth. Right. They're all enjoying themselves. And for now, it's just a matter of waiting to get both the power wheel and the lumber mill up and running. So bring you back in a few moments. And there we go. Alright, I've had to shut down a couple of buildings now to make sure that we've got enough people available to run all of these buildings. There we go. This should provide power, though we are going to need to shut down yet another building in order to do that. We've got quite a lot of logs available to us right now, so I'm going to go ahead and shut down this lumberjack flag. And let's just get peeps down here as quickly as we can. There we go. I'm very sorry. Damn it. You did a whole, seconds worth of work. Oh well, it is what it is. But once we've got that up and running, we can actually start converting these logs into planks, and we will store those temporarily in this small warehouse. I may set up a second small warehouse, one for food and then one for building materials. You can't store logs, of course. They are stored in the log piles, but there we go. They are actually working. Now, obviously, since this is a single building, I don't need to have any kind of power trains moving that energy around, because it's only enough to run one thing. So this is good enough for now. Thankfully, our water barrels were enough to keep our population's thirst managed, and we're about out of the drought, so I strongly suspect, there we go. Marvelous. Okay, so this will start kicking in again. We'll start filling these back up with water as it goes. Excellent timing. There we are. All right, so that's taken a load off. We can relax a little bit with that. Though the amount that was stored here, not quite enough. And we also definitely want to make sure that in the future we've got an irrigation tower. Something around here, for example, would keep our farms going. Perhaps we'd have some more farms on the other side just to make the best use out of the irrigation tower. But that would actually keep us going for a little while. So that's definitely what we want to start work on next. Let's get that up and running. Once that's there, they'll start filling it. But the next thing beyond that we're going to want to have is a large water tank, I'm going to say. Right, with that done, let's unlock this. Let's unlock you as well. And let's unlock this one as well. We'll see how many of our available adults there are to run everything. The planks will take a little bit of time. As I mentioned, though, I think it may well be worth our while to get a storage for some of the building focused materials. So let's pop that down there. We'll have a little path running down here. There we go. That'll do very nicely. This one I am going to set up... Well, actually, first I'm going to say none. And then I'm going to allow berries, bread, carrots, grilled potatoes, and wheat. Also flour. There we go. That should be fine. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well, we can afford to add a little bit more into this then. Right now, it's going to be berries and carrots. I'm not going to try to specifically get it to 200. If we've got more berries and more carrots, because we can just eat those as they are. Same with grilled potatoes. I don't want us to hold on to items that can't immediately be consumed. That doesn't seem the most efficient, to be perfectly honest. Sadly, people are hungry again. So we're going to have a look into this and make sure that everyone has got the... construction materials lacking for that. Oh, actually, we've got enough people, so we should hopefully have those set up relatively soon. All right, let's set everything to none here. And just go through and add in everything that is non-food related. Paper, planks, scrap. We'll have all of that going. Once again, the stuff that we actually make use of. So I guess planks, I'm going to assume metal blocks, but I haven't seen those yet. We'll increase those as time makes sense too. Once we're actually using those resources. But once again, we are struggling with hungry beavers, so hopefully we can get some more berries around the place for them to satisfy that hunger. And in the future, the irrigation tower will mean that we're going to gather food all the way through, and it won't be as much of a to and fro with extreme hunger for our poor beavers. They're working ever so hard, bless them. Right, we've got 32% on that, 21 there. How many potatoes have we actually got in storage? No potatoes in storage. It's because these basically died out before we got a full harvest from them, which is a bit of a shame, but oh, that's just the way it's going to be, unfortunately. I imagine we're going to see... Yeah, it's going to be very back and forth for a little while on food. But now that everyone's had something to eat and the fields are once again growing, we could have even more on the go. And that might well be worth us doing. There's no particular limits to the size of the fields that I'm aware of, so sure, let's add down another 3 tiles of carrots and another 3 tiles of potatoes. There we go, that'll help out. And we'll add in some paving all the way around. We're going to move this a little bit deeper into the forest. Let's bring that out to about here. We'll pop down a lumberjack flag right there. We will get rid of the current lumberjack flag. So let's pause this until those logs are removed. Hopefully soon. There we go, and perfect. And we'll just finish that one off, get rid of it. Thank you. And we can build this in. I mean, the flag, I don't think we're going to lose any materials from not having a flag, from deleting a flag. But I don't know if the items that are stored there would get destroyed or not. But we can see that the irrigation tower is already starting to receive some water, which is absolutely marvellous. 17 out of 48. I'm going to leave someone working there. Supply will last for 8.2 hours, which is not the best. But we are now going to need to remove all of these and get ourselves a much larger water storage device. There we go. This will be fantastic. Now, it's probably a bit risky to just delete these as they are, but nevertheless, let's go ahead and do that. Get rid of all of you and get ourselves another building that requires planks, but it's so much more storage that I feel that that is the much smarter way to go with that. Now, once we've built another farm over here, we're probably going to delete these berry bushes there. I know they're free food and they last for a very long time, but hopefully with 2 farms and significant water storage in the future, it should be fine. Additionally, we might want some more water pumps up and running as well. That would probably be a big help. Oh, we're going to need gears. Really? For a large water tank, we need gears. Why? I don't know. Nevertheless, here we are. With me not having properly thought things through, because I do not have enough research for that. Okay, well, fair enough. That has caught me completely off guard, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Okay, well, given that then, we can definitely build a new water pump. I was umming and ahhing about the idea of it, but no, we're going to get a new water pump, and I'm going to build a couple of water barrels there, just to keep us going for the time being. We're also going to say goodbye to that tree, sadly, and we're going to build out a path along here. There we go. These need to be done as a very high priority. All of these as a high priority. There we go. We've got more than enough wood to be able to handle this, and we've got a decent amount of workers as well, though we are lacking some workers. This one in particular, let's pause it for now. Let's just focus on getting these up and running. Which other building lacks workers? Really? Okay, well, that's fine. Actually, we don't need this anymore, so we can get rid of that, and that will free up another worker slot. So there we go. That should help out a little bit. I could slow this one down again. Yes, I don't think we can really support 2 separate science buildings for the time being. We need to really focus on our food and indeed on our water supplies more than anything else. Okay, there we go. 4 new small water towers. Not enough for us right now, but we only have a little ways to go before we can unlock the gear workshop. We just need another 18 research, which shouldn't take us over long to get to. I am a little bit concerned about how low we are on food in general. We've only got 58. We've already burned through all of the carrots that we had. Still, carrots grow relatively quickly, and we've almost got our first harvest of potatoes. Once that's up and running, I think it's probably going to be wise for us to get a grill going, because that is going to maximize the use of our potatoes. So let's go ahead and pop this down right about here. That will do nicely. Let's get that up and going. Only going to take logs again. We've got an ample supply of those, so that should work out well for us. And between these 2 water pumps, we're going to be able to keep these going for a fair while, I should imagine. We're not going to start worrying about the irrigation tower until we actually need it, so when a drought is nearby. But we've already got some more carrots to be harvested, which is fantastic. This will be built relatively quickly, I should imagine. We do need to get some more room for our beavers to socialize, I think. That being said, we've got a full population right now, so we're also going to need some more homes for them as well. The problem is right now I'm not confident about our food situation, so I think we're going to hold off on that until we've got the grill up and running properly. There we go. We need potatoes, we need logs, and we will get grilled potatoes out. That point, I'm going to feel significantly better about it. Unable to get all required materials. Well, I mean, they're on their way, don't you worry. We've currently got 15 adults. This is the most adults we've had in a very long time, and probably enough for us to turn on the second science building as well. Fantastic. Right, there we go. We've got our 100. So let's unlock the gear workshop. That being said, the forester might be worth it. For the time being, there's enough trees nearby that we can continue to harvest those. So I'm going to go for the gear workshop instead. Right, there we go. Let's get you up and running. Now, this one's going to take 120 horsepower. Very well. With that said, then, we're going to build this right down here. And it's at this point that we actually need to start thinking about getting a water wheel going. That would give us more than enough power to take care of everything we need. We can build it more or less anywhere along this area that we want. I could build it there, for example. They should be able to reach it. I guess we'll see. But it makes more sense to me to be built right here instead. So let's get that on the go. I would like one power moving out here. About there. And then probably bring this up around here. There we go. Bring that up again. Alright. I'm going to allow them to finish this work first. I will bring down a little path, but this will eventually go away, and we'll rely more on water power to run these two buildings. Now, eventually, you can get to the point where you can pass the power above, so a high power shaft. This would require 80 sides. If we can get that in time, then I can have this go up and over a path here, or I can just adjust it later on. That being said, if we've got enough planks, we can always get a windmill as well, generates a changeable amount of power from the wind. We can also get a large windmill, which generates an awful lot of power, but it's incredibly expensive, and we've already got a lot of expenses as it stands. So we'll go with water power for the immediate. Now, gears is going to take us a little while to get to, but food-wise, we're actually starting to get a bit better off now. We've got grilled potatoes on the way. Very happy about that. This one currently needs some more planks. We'll get to that in time. We haven't got much in the way of a large stockpile of planks right now, so it's going to take us a little bit of time to get to that. As for terrain modification, we've got a dam there. Do I have stairs? Ooh, we might want to unlock stairs so that I can get my lumberjacks up onto that platform. That may well be worth us getting in the immediate before we unlock the high power shaft. As much as that would make it very convenient for me to move power around here, I'm not sure it would be as immediately useful to me as gaining access to even more wood over there. And this would also allow us to start making use of the platforms that we've got as well, which would actually be quite nice. It would be lovely to wrap up the episode by showing you some buildings on top of other buildings. Let's pop those in place. Get 3 of these going. Now I want the gear workshop to be done first. So let's put these on a bit of a higher priority. There. There. Right, with that, we should now be able to start moving this power around. So let's rotate this about. I want you right here. There we go. That's already generating a decent amount of power, but none of it is being demanded. Once that's done, I can just pause this from that point forward. We probably don't actually need it up and running right now. Let's have a look at planks. How many we stored? No, we've got no planks in storage. Fair enough. So, yes, we're still using all of the planks, so that's fine. We'll wait on that one then. But as for the stairs, we're already there. So let's go ahead and unlock this. Hooray! Right, with that in place, let's get some stairs going straight up. And we can build out to that. There we go. And up here, I can add all of these trees to be cut down. I suppose I could have gone around and just gone up there as well, but I think this is fine. There we go. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time to get those made. They do require planks, so they're not a cheap construction, to be certain. But once these are in place, we'll see how the range of this building will change as well. At this point, I am... Yeah, we're actually going to chop down these trees as well for the moment. We will eventually reforest this area, but I do want to have access through here anyway, so it makes a little bit more sense to cut that down rather than preserve it as a seeding forest. Right, how's food? 170 odd. Oh, fantastic. It looks like that is getting very close to being made, and we've got our gear factory up and running. Hooray! Right. Now then, with that, we can pause you. You no longer need to run the hamster wheel. I mean the beaver wheel. I am so sorry. How rude. There we go. We are drawing a wee bit of power from this. So let's get the rest of the powertrain moving over. But with the beginnings of industry starting to come together, and the fact that we have now somewhat managed the trials and tribulations of the droughts, at least in the very, very small scale and immediate term, enough to keep our farms going through the worst of it. I think we're going to have to wrap up this first taste there. I really, really do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. And I hope to see you in the next. Do let me know down below if you'd like to see a little bit more of Timberborn in the future. But until next time, do take care, everyone.